Mosse, do you know we have come up on a anniversary of sorts? 7 years ago, Christian Pulisic made his debut for the U.S. men's national team. Now, why is this interesting or important? Well, I don't know. I just find it interesting and important in that certainly in my lifetime, there has never been a player more lauded and with higher expectations from the American soccer public out there. There are those that will say that he has yet to live up to those expectations, and there are others that have said, yeah, he continues to get better and better, and ultimately might become the greatest American soccer player from a men's perspective that we have ever seen. This was, as we know, a young player who grew up in the American system, doing a lot of things that American players and young American players do. Parents who were from soccer who encouraged him. Youth soccer and mom and dad, like we said, and I'm sure orange peels and juice boxes at halftime. And then took a much less traveled path in going over at a very young age to Dortmund and developing over in Europe. And so it was with this American background and then the European youth development that ultimately created this player. You know, we live in an age where we have already lived through the Freddie Adu experiment and the pitfalls that we often try to avoid and talk about when it comes to Freddie Adu or other young talent. For the most part, I think that Christian Pulisic has avoided that. And I think, for the most part, Christian Pulisic has lived up to the hype and lived up to expectations. By no way am I suggesting that he can't get better, and I hope doesn't get better. And let's be honest, if he is to lead us to the promised land, needs to get better. But so far, so good. On the field, there have been ups and downs, and that is to be expected with any player. But the highs have been pretty high. And the lows, to be honest with you, have been low and oftentimes have been attached to injuries and or just out of favor with an assortment of coaches. The money transfer, the big money transfer that oftentimes we use as a litmus test for how great a player is, happened, coming over from Dortmund and going over to Chelsea for the $80 million around. So that has happened. He, at least by all accounts, off the field, has grown up, and he is no longer the boy that we kind of saw initially, and he's grown into a young man. Even over the last couple of weeks, we have talked about his relative maturity and his leadership that he has taken, and a much more public type of persona. He is shy, as we said before. He is never going to be that gregarious type of person, no matter what he does. But he certainly has grown a little bit into being a much more public type of figure. He is not to the extent of a Messi, but he is going to live the rest of his life in a relative bubble with the amount of money that he has made, with the stardom that he has achieved, with the fame that he has achieved, and with the opportunities that he will get continuing on the field, but also off the field after he is done playing. He will forever be a American star. Who knows if he ultimately is the best one ever? Maybe 2026 will kind of stamp it. But it doesn't seem that long ago that we were just all getting excited about Christian Pulisic. Now, I bring this up, and I'll finish it up here, in that where is the next Christian Pulisic? Maybe we've already seen him. Maybe we haven't seen him yet. But this player that is going to just crash into our orbit, this player that is going to not only do what Christian Pulisic did, but hopefully do more, and do more at a younger age, and be bigger and better. Because it stands to reason that in the 7 years that have come and gone between now and when Christian Pulisic first burst on the scene, there is a whole almost generation now of player that has had more opportunity, more resource, more advantage, and those seeds that have been planted should be coming to full fruition now. I don't know where that is. I hope that we have it. I hope that there are players that are better than Christian Pulisic, because if this is as good as it gets, it's still not good enough. And I love watching Christian Pulisic. I mean, the other day, he was, not even arguably, he was the best player on the field in that first game against Grenada. But in the second game, he wasn't. And I think that he still has so much more to give on the field, and then from a long-term perspective, off the field. And I'll be really interested to see how he evolves, how he grows, and how he changes going forward. I hope that involves leading the U.S., like we talk about, to the promised land. But if the last 7 years are any indication, then who knows what the next 3 years and obviously the next 10 years are going to leave us. I don't know if he lives up to that billing of being the best American soccer player, male American soccer player ever, but it's going to be fun watching him try.
You like that clip? Well, my State of the Union podcast drops every week. Subscribe now on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you get your podcasts.
You like that clip? Well, my State of the Union podcast drops twice a week right here on my very own YouTube page. The only way to stay up to date is to hit that subscribe button down below. Size the day, and see you soon.